the difference between latest finish time and earliest finish time of activity is called total float, free float, independent float, none of the above. The answer is A. Total float. The difference between latest finish time and earliest finish time of activity is called total float. The explanation is here. So you have three float, that is three different floats. First one is independent float, free float, total float. You can easily understand, you can easily remember by using this idea. Okay. First one is independent float. The independent float EF minus LS minus T. This means the independent float is the difference between EF. Okay. So that is earliest finish minus latest start minus activity time. Okay. So similarly, if you take free float, the difference is earliest finish minus earliest start minus activity time. So similarly, total float, that is latest finish minus earliest start minus activity time. Okay. But if you see in this question, they have given the difference between latest finish time and the earliest finish time. Okay. So in this equation, there is no earliest finish, right? So instead of ES, you can write EF minus T, that is earliest finish minus duration, that is activity duration, gives earliest start. Okay. So instead of ES, write EF minus T. Just cancel it, TT, you will get LF minus EF. Okay. So that is the difference between latest finish time and the earliest finish time of activity is called total float. This is the correct answer. Next question is, the earliest occurrence time for event 1 is 8 weeks and the latest occurrence time for event 1 is 26 weeks. The earliest occurrence time for event 2 is 32 weeks and the latest occurrence time for event 2 is 37 weeks. If the activity time is 11 weeks, then the total float will be 11, 13, 18, 24. The answer is 18. Okay. The solution is given here. So similar concept. Earliest start, this one is latest start, this one is earliest finish, latest finish. I am considering this one as event 1, this one as event 2. Okay. Event 1, they have given earliest occurrence is 8 weeks, latest is 26. So this one is 8, this one is 26. Similarly, 32 and 37. Okay. So in the question they have given activity time, this time is 11. Okay. So they are asking to find total float. Okay. So total float, what is the formula? LF minus ES minus T. Okay. LF minus ES minus T. LF is 37 minus 8 minus activity time is 11. You will get 18 weeks. That is the total float. The answer is 18. Next question is, interfering float is the difference between total float and free float, total float and independent float, free float and independent float, none of the above. The answer is total float and free float. Interfering float is the difference between total float and free float. So by seeing this one, you will get the free float and the total float. Okay. So the difference of these two is the interfering float. Right. Next question is, latest start time is the latest time by which an activity can be started without delaying the project. Latest time by which an activity can be completed without delaying the project. Latest time the event can occur, any of this. The answer is latest time by which an activity can be started without delaying the project. Start time is the latest time by which an activity can be started without delaying the project. The solution given here is latest start. Okay, that is the latest time by which the event activity can be started without delaying the project. If we take latest finish, similarly, by which an activity can be completed without delaying the project. Okay, so if they are asking option B, that is latest finish time, means option B is correct. Latest start time is option A is correct, because latest start time related to starting. Okay, latest finish time related to completion. Next question is, negative slack occurs when latest allowable time is greater than earliest expected time, when events stick to their schedule, when deficiency of resources exists, none of these. The answer is when deficiency of resources exists. Negative slack occurs when deficiency of resources exists. Idea behind this, the slack. Okay, so what is slack? It is the time by which occurrence of an event can be delayed. Okay, so by seeing this, the slack is the difference between latest finish time and the earliest finish. Okay, so that is the slack equation. Okay, if the slack is positive, that means the project is ahead of schedule. If the slack is negative, because there is some deficiency of resources exist. Okay, so here they have given negative slack, so it occurs when the deficiency of resources exist. Next question is, in PERT, optimistic time, the minimum time in which an event can possibly be accomplished, the maximum time which an activity might require, the time which has the highest probability of occurrence, none of these. The answer is the minimum time in which any activity can possibly be accomplished. Some tips are given here, that is PERT. Okay, so it consists of 3 time estimates. So first one is optimistic time estimate, that is the shortest possible time. Okay, so similarly our question is optimistic time, that means the minimum time or the shortest possible time required for the completion of a project if all goes extremely well. Second one is pessimistic time estimates. It is the maximum possible time. Okay, for example, the maximum time, it is related to what? Pessimistic time. The maximum possible time the activity will take if everything goes bad. Third one is most likely time estimates, the time an activity will take if executed under normal condition. Okay, so the normal condition, the time of an activity will take for its execution is most likely time estimates. Okay, as per our question, optimistic time, it is the minimum time in which the activity can be possibly accomplished. A fictitious activity with zero duration and no cost used to maintain the sequential order of the activities in the network is known as restraint, dummy activity, event, all of these. The answer is dummy activity. A fictitious activity with zero duration and no cost used to maintain the sequential order of the activities in the network is known as dummy activity. Some important points related to dummy activity: it doesn't consume time and resources. It is constructed only to establish sequence precedence relationship, preserves the sequence logic. It is an imaginary activity, also called logical dummy. Grammatical dummy. Okay, so grammatical dummy means to comply with rule that no 2 or more activities can have the same tail and head events. That is called grammatical dummy. Next question is, in PERT analysis, the actual performance of a task is known as activity, event, task, workforce. Answer is activity. In PERT analysis, the actual performance of task is known as A. Activity. Some important points. Activity, okay. Activity, the actual performance of a task requires time and resources for its execution, okay. So in this, the activity is the arrow, okay. So it requires some time and resources for its execution. If you take event, okay, it is the start and the end point of an activity. This one is activity, the start and the end point. The circle is called event. It doesn't consume any resources, okay. Event doesn't consume any resources, but activity requires time and resources for its execution. Next question is, the free float affects only preceding activities, succeeding activities, the particular activity, none of these. The answer is preceding activities. The free float affects only preceding activities. Some important points. Free float, okay. Free float affects only the preceding activities. If they ask independent float affects only the particular activity involved, okay. So it is very important question. Independent float affects only the particular activity involved. Total float, okay. Total float, all activities in a chain are affected, okay. So many books I have seen, the answer whatever they have given is somewhat wrong, okay. For free float, they have given succeeding activity as an answer, okay. So please kindly refer. If you have a doubt with this answer, please go to the book Project Management by Hira N. Hauja Valley Publications, okay. So they have clearly mentioned the uses of float, okay. So for free float, it affects only the preceding activities. Independent float, which affects only the particular activity involved. Total float, all activities, which affects all activities in a chain, okay. So here they have given the free float, okay. The free float affects only the preceding activities. Next question is, critical path connecting the start and the end events time wise is longest path always, shortest path always, maybe longest path, maybe shortest path. The answer is longest path always. Critical path connecting the start and end event time wise is the longest path always, okay. Some points related to critical path. A critical path is the longest path time wise connecting the initial and the final event. A critical path may run through dummy activities, okay. So the critical path will also have some dummy activities, okay. It is also possible. It is possible that a network may have more than one critical path, okay. So a network may have more than one critical path also, right. Next question is, in resource leveling, the main constraint would on the resource, project duration time, both A and B above, none of these. The answer is on the resources. In resource leveling, the main constraint would be on the resources, okay. So some idea given here, that is the resource leveling, okay. So it is a resource scheduling technique of project management. So in that resource scheduling technique consists of two things, that is first one is resource smoothing, resource leveling. In resource smoothing, the constraint is total project duration, okay. In resource leveling, the constraint is availability of certain resources. If you see here in our question, they have asked resource leveling, okay. So resource leveling, the constraint is availability of certain resources, okay, on the resources, not on the project duration time, okay. So resource smoothing, if they ask in resource smoothing, the main constraint would be project duration, that is the project duration time is the answer, okay. Next question is, Fulkerson rule deals with numbering of events in PERT, CPM model, the simulation model, queuing theory model, transportation model. The answer is numbering of events in PERT CPM model. Fulkerson rule deals with numbering of events in PERT CPM model. Next question is, CPM network is updated at a regular interval at fixed time at any time whenever there is a difference in planned and actual performance. The answer is whenever there is a difference in the planned and actual performance. The CPM network is updated whenever there is difference in the planned and actual performance. Next question is, in PERT, the duration of the activities is taken as optimistic time, pessimistic time, most likely time, expected mean time. Okay. The answer is expected mean time. In PERT, the duration of the activities is taken as expected mean time. So, some points related to PERT is given here. So, first point is PERT is a event oriented. It is probabilistic in nature. It consists of 3 time estimates, that is optimistic, pessimistic, most likely time. Okay. So, the activity duration, this activity duration is given in beta distribution. Okay. So, project duration, the project duration of PERT is normally distributed. Okay. So, expected mean time, by using this 3 time estimates, we will calculate the expected mean time for calculating the normal deviation and finding the probability, right? So, in PERT, the duration of activities is taken as expected mean time in terms of optimistic, pessimistic and most likely time. The last question is, PERT was first formally applied to the planning and controlling in Dow Jones, JP Morgan, Titan's Way, Polaris weapon system. The answer is D, Polaris weapon system. PERT was first formally applied to the planning and controlling in Polaris weapon system in 1958. All the best. See you soon in the next video.